your exterior that you're going to paint, thoroughly, because you don't want to paint over any kind of salt, air, or anything like that. And that's some of the things that other painters I found around here weren't really doing, and that and quite a few other things that I learned how to do is just standard operating procedure. It wasn't even being carried out up here, and whether or not that has anything to do with my success, I don't know. It could be, and maybe not.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Sure.
But yeah, I think we brought something new to the whole scene, really.
Especially to where you are.
Yeah.
Well, this is Burn the Ship. Our goal here is to connect professionals with entrepreneurs that have kind of already walked the walk and talked the talk and been through that process of kind of going all in on their business. Why don't you introduce yourself and your company?
Oh, I'm Chad Embree, Embree Painting, LLC. We're out of Rome, Georgia. We do commercial, residential. We've done all kinds of stuff. We worked with... You want me to tell you some more?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
You want to? Well, recently, Rome has become pretty popular with the movie industry.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
And they filmed Stranger Things there.
Yeah, that big house. I think that thing just sold, I think.
The Krill house.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it did just sell, and they're not telling anybody who bought it. But somebody says it may have something to do with Netflix. But... we were lucky enough to get a call from them, the summer of 22. And we had noticed, that all the activity around the Krill house, we call it the Claremont house back before it became Stranger Things. And they called us up and wanted a painter. And they had just turned it into a haunted house. The last scenes, if you watch Stranger Things, where the whole Krill house was boarded up. I mean, there were literally boards on the windows, and they had put fake vines all over the house and all that. And I went down there and met up with those guys and started talking to them, sending them an estimate, and we got the job. So we got to go over there and paint that house after the movie people had their way with it, and and it hadn't really been painted in many years. And it's probably it hadn't been painted since the 70s. So it's one of the older houses in Rome, and definitely one of the most pretty. And it's 8,000 square foot.
It's a beautiful house. I remember going and seeing it after they finished filming, because they were talking about it a lot on social media. This was filmed here in Rome. They're very proud of it. So we went and saw it. It's a beautiful house. It's a massive house.
People are constantly walking by it, taking pictures.
Yeah, it's back there on the east side of Rome, right? Like near Dean Avenue.
Yeah. Second Avenue is on.
Yeah, it's a beautiful house, man. It was massive. I remember because you see it in the show, you don't think it's so big, but it's freaking huge.
Yeah. The part where Vecna was hanging, that's just basically where. Well, there were a lot of scenes filmed downstairs, but that was all up in the upstairs of that mansard attic, is what they call that. I think it's an attic. That's that squared off attic looking roof. It comes from the movie Psycho, if you remember that. It had a mansard attic. And ever since then, that's always been the look for a haunted house, is that mansard attic. So you paint houses like that, you start learning new words, like mansard attic. Second Empire and things like that, how they describe all those Victorian houses, there's a lot of different ways to describe them.
So you talked about you got kind of trained in how you did everything from work in North Florida. Did you had plans to start your own business when you came back up this way, or?
Yeah, I was down in Florida in 2008, and
what a time to be down in Florida, huh?
Yeah, it was. I'd been down there working with the guys I was talking about, and in 2008, the election happened, and the economy did what it did, and by 2010, things were slowing down significantly for us on a small island in North Florida, which is mainly a summer destination at that point. It's grown a lot since then, but So we were at 2011. We kind of had a little bad situation with the guys I was working with, and some money didn't get paid that was supposed to get paid by a builder who was unscrupulous, and then I ended up coming back to Rome, where I was born and raised. And
oh, really?
I'd been gone for 10 years.
Wow.
So I'd been living in Rome, went to Pepperell High School.
Nice.
And
I went to Rockmart.
So. Oh, did you?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Graduated from Floyd College with a 2-year degree.
Nice.
And then I moved to Fernandina Beach, and that's when I started painting.
Sure. And then you came back here and just kind of, I'm assuming that you already had the plans that you were running your own business. You weren't looking for a job, and then you kind of saw the opportunity that was here. What did those beginning phases look like?
Right. I came back to town, and my mom said, "Why don't you go get a job at Home Depot?" And I said, "Well, Mom, I've been painting, for the last 10 years in Florida. I'd like to continue to paint." And so I'm glad I didn't do what my mom said and get a job at Home Depot. And kept on going with the painting. And when I first came back, I had a pretty decent amount of customers up here. I mean, a couple already that knew I was painting in Florida. And so I painted a couple houses. And then I went to work for another guy who had a big crew, and they were painting like the college when everybody was gone in the summer. I worked for them for one summer, and that was just like this. Crew work for me was never a good thing, and ended up getting laid off at the end of the summer by those guys. And I already had a few jobs lined up that I couldn't get to because I was working for this other guy. So getting fired by that guy was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. One of the many.
Yeah.
But so then I just started doing my own thing.
How'd you start building your team?
I did it all myself.
So you just kind of went and found the guys from
other places? No, I did the work myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
My first big deal was I got hooked up with Hardy Realty, a real estate company.
I'm familiar with them. They do a tremendous amount of the rentals in Rome.
Exactly.
They do so many rentals.
Property management is what it's called. And so they needed a painter. And so I was good with a sprayer, and I just started. I could go in and I could spray a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment by myself, and pretty good. And they paid decent, And if you're able-bodied enough to pull that off and make it look good, and you can make pretty good money if you're good at it. And at the time, I was young and strong and good, so I did that for 4 or 5 years.
Basically just working with Hardy.
Well, I was doing that for my main for sure, and then I always had the option, and I was building my online presence, trying to advertise Embree Painting as more than just working for Hardy. But that came to an end too, so that was fine too when that happened. Hardy said, "Bye, Chad, we've had enough of you. We're going to take your guy that you got working for you. We're going to hire him."
Wow.
Bye.
Wow.
See, Embree Painting. We don't need Embree Painting anymore.
How long ago was that?
That was. I'm thinking back. I was thinking about that on the way down here. I think it was about 17.
17, so what was that, 6 years ago?
Yeah.
And then since then, what's things been like? Well, I imagine that's kind of chapter 2 of your business. So.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yes, it was totally different. At that point, I had a decent, before then, I was running 2 crews. I had a crew that would do Hardy Realty stuff, and then I'd have a crew that would do my own stuff that I found on my own. And that was working fine. And then Hardy moved on, and I moved on, and then I just had one crew. And that's where we stayed. I can't speak about Embree Painting without mentioning the Teasall family. Juan and Jasper, they're my main guys. They do it, and I trained Jasper significantly. He's been with me for quite a few years, and he knows exactly how we like to do it, and so I'm blessed with that family there. They really stick with me, and
sure,
I learn from them, they learn from me.
Yeah, good reputation and good help goes a long way at the
Yes.
beginning of being a small business.
You have to have it.
100%.
And I've had tons of terrible help. I've fired so many bad, and not saying some good ones, but painting.
It happens in the contractor world, I think, just in general.
It's a gig thing, right? It's not so easy to. I've got to turn this off because.
No, that's okay.
But you never know what's going to happen with you guys in a painting situation. So if you can get somebody to stick around with you for a while, and somebody that shows interest in trying to do it the right way, you try to keep those people around.
Sure. And so now you're kind of generating deals one at a time, actual homeowners reaching out to you to do business. I'm assuming
Correct.
The web presence and all of that has continued to improve over the years.
Yeah.
And so no more Hardy Realty deals or anything like that.
No, I don't have to do that anymore.
Imagine that makes your margin go way up too, though. It makes your business much more healthy. Yeah, I like that. I enjoy that. And so you said you're running 1 to 2 crews now, kind of depending on the work week. How many houses are you guys painting? A week or a month?
Well, we can paint a house a week.
Mm.
Yeah, we don't paint a house every week. I would say we paint 30 a year.
30 a year? That's pretty
probably
solid.
Between 30 and 50.
Yeah, that's a lot.
We do also
That's an insane
small
amount.
jobs too.
My bedroom sounds like a lot, so trust me.
Yeah. I mean, you'd be surprised what 5 to 7 men can do with modern technology, and knowing how to use it.
Sure.
A sprayer is indispensable. If you don't know how to use one, you're not going to get very far. Everybody can paint. That's what everybody thinks. But when you get into the level we're at, it's
making a business out of it's a whole different ball game.
You need 5 sprayers. You need cordless sprayers. You need gas-powered sprayers, and all the accessories that go with it.
Sure, absolutely. And so I originally met you at the Rome Business Group there.
Yeah, that's
briefly.
Correct. Yeah.
Do you network pretty regularly?
That's one of the first things that I've done, and something that I plan on doing more of.
Sure.
Absolutely. I'm getting to the point where I'm finally out of the field.
Not having to do all the work.
To be able to grow in that direction. Even to the point where I've considered getting into general contracting,
opening
actually
up that
getting a
book
license
of services.
and
finding carpenters to be carpenters,
right.
and painters to be painters.
Yeah, sure.
People will appreciate that when they get their experience.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because the most builders now that I meet, they don't even budget for painting.
Sure.
So any potential homeowners out there, make sure your builder is budgeting for paint.
Yeah, you don't get a butt naked house.
They do it.
Yeah, that's insane to me. You just drywall.
Yeah, they'll do it, and then after you just spend all that money to build a house, and then you're gonna call up a painter, and they want you to spend another,
$10 grand, 15
whatever
grand.
it is, that's not a good place for a paint salesman to be.
It's a hard place to swallow. It's a hard thing to swallow as a homeowner too.
Yeah.
I just took this loan out and paid 20% down probably.
And the problem was your builder didn't budget for the painting.
Yeah.
I had an issue with a builder a couple of weeks ago that did that to me. It's like, well, I mean, you can't really account for it if you don't budget for it.
Yeah, 100%. And so it seems like, knowing how valuable the reputation is, and then having the process of rendering your service correctly went a long way at the beginning of your business. What was like, kind of when you started wearing that business owner hat, what was something that you found that was difficult?
Customer service.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was something that it's just like being a waitress at a restaurant. There's no difference between that and selling paint.
Yeah.
A paint job,
Everything.
There's a big difference, but it's as far as how you act towards people. You're there as a servant, to provide a service, and you gotta have a certain demeanor as a salesman.
Sure. Oh yeah, and we have always been humbly of the opinion that if we meet you and you're like a very talkative bartender, like you could if you work really hard, you could probably make it in our industry. You know what I mean? Because that's everything for us. Like kind of the lifespan of a credit card processing company is most people start out by themselves. They work for another processor, and then something similar happens. They don't get paid what they should have got paid, or they're having issues closing deals because they didn't learn a lot about their industry, or maybe they're really, really good at closing deals and they realize that, I'm giving away a huge portion of the profit to a company that doesn't give me a lot of resources or protect my clients, and so people step out on their own and you gain, usually it's around that 100 merchant mark where customer service begins to like outpace what you can do on the sales side of things, where people are calling you so much to fix technology issues and have questions about their rate, and you're retaining clients. You're spending so much that you're just kind of spinning your tires and staying in the same place.
Just trying to keep up with
It's exactly what happened to us.
Done.
Yeah, Jay was working for a processor, went out on his own and gained that first original book of business, and then brought Chris on as a partner because there was no way that he could continue to grow his book of business if he was the one doing all the customer service and everything like that.
Oh yeah.
And then we added resources to the customer service side of things as we continued to grow, and we added sales rep to the sales side of things, kind of in conjunction with both of those things. And that's kind of how our business was built as well. Customer service isn't difficult if it's the only thing you do, but if you do it in conjunction with 100 other things, it makes it super difficult to make people feel important.
Finding my problem, when you climb down off the ladder in 100-degree heat, and then you gotta put on the salesman's hat.
Oh yeah,
and that's why and a lot of people say, well, you don't even paint. Well, we can't.
You're welcome.
Can't do all of this stuff.
Yeah, you're kind of welcome. That's what you want. That's what you want.
Yeah.
You don't want the person that's quoting you and rendering the service and doing all them things themselves. A lot of times, especially for big stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I have a handyman that pretty much fixes everything in my house, and he's experiencing that right now. Like I'm having to go do so many small things for people I've done work for in the past that it's inhibiting my ability to do kind of what you want to do. He wants to add other people to his team and add services that he's capable of, because he's super. He could do anything from the foundation of the house to the electricity to the drywall to the plumbing. Like, he's very very competent builder, but he's trying to grow his own business, man, and it's super difficult because he's having to he's changing his hat every 30 minutes because so many things are pulling him in different directions. It's really, really difficult. So I can relate to that as well. I bet. And tapping into that local network is difficult too. You know what I mean? Like I spend a pretty decent amount of time in that network in Rome, and it's not like Marietta. You know what I mean? Like, I've networked over there where there's 20 different networking organizations. The chamber is doing something every single week. There's business associations and private networking. Like, there's opportunities for salespeople to go either meet people that can be clients or meet people that can send you business. But that takes away from you doing your business. You know what I mean? Like, I look at it from a salesperson and from an employee perspective, but I can't imagine juggling all those things as a business owner. It's got to be super constraining on your time,
Yeah. You mean just going to business meetings?
Yeah.
Groups?
Oh,
business groups? Well, that one in particular was 2 times a month, which is, I found out, I couldn't make it to the second one.
Yeah.
And not that I'm not interested in going back. I am. I would like to network with those people. But like you say, Rome is a crazy market. Things that I came from Florida, Jacksonville, basically. I mean, Amelia Island is just basically a nice part of Jacksonville, and a big city. And things in 2011 were pretty rough down there. But when you came up here, it didn't seem like things were that bad. People weren't all that looking for work that bad, and there were jobs. And so Rome is a tight-knit community and they like to keep it that way.
Yeah.
And it's hard to break in, and it's to this day, people don't really, I still have problems with people not knowing who I am.
100%. Yeah, I mean, me too. I have a decent client base there too, and I'm the exact same way,
Yeah.
Like, hey, I have a client that's 1,000 yards from you up the road. I want to talk to you about credit card processing. They're like, I've never heard of them. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not super connected. You know what I mean? It's not like a lot of other places, but I really think a big driver for that in Rome specifically is that a little north you have like the carpet, the biggest carpet industry in the world.
Dalton.
You know what I mean? And then in Rome you have Cary, and Kellogg's and Southeastern Mills and all those things. Like there's a bunch of and then you have all of like those, there's F&P, all those companies that build all those car parts, you know what I mean? So like the small business community of people like growing and creating small businesses is small, but when people do it, people celebrate those people a lot of times, so like it's a strange place, but once you kind of break in there and spend a lot of time there, you can do some good things in Rome. But it is weird. It is a lot different than your typical area that you can go and network. I will give you that. So yeah. But well, that is interesting, my friend. I'm interested to see kind of where things go for your business, especially because a lot of the tools that you have to use to grow your business is difficult. And
yes.
It kind of goes into overdrive whenever you take yourself out of the field and you have guys that you can trust to kind of render that service. So I think you're in a good place. Where do you kind of see yourself going from here?
Well, like I said, general contractor is a possibility. We are enjoying ourselves now. I mean, my crew tells me they love it. They're having fun. We're all having fun. We're all making a decent living. And we have something to look at the end of the day that gives us satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe just expanding, the painting. I think that's going to happen whether we like it or not. And as far as if we go into any other trades, it would be probably carpentry. And then as far as futuristic things, I was looking into. We do a lot of. Well, we don't do pressure washing as much as we used to, but we always wash everything before we paint it. So pressure washers are always around, and we know how to use them. And we like to keep a trailer with a tank full of water and,
Sure.
all the pumps and all the stuff. And nowadays they've got these drones, like a delivery drone that'll pick up a 60-pound box and deliver it to your house and, drop it off. Well, you can hook a pressure washer to one of those.
Wow.
And they're a new product on the market, fairly new, and not a lot of people have them. And just getting one's probably going to be hard. But I've got fantasies of a couple of those, a couple
Sure.
of setups like that. Yeah, I mean, it'd be amazing what you could do once you had your hands on it, And
yeah, I want one of those to carry my 6-year-old around.
There you go.
Yeah, take him to baseball practice.
I mean, a drone that'll lift 60 pounds.
Yeah.
What else can you do with it?
Mine's got 15 pounds left to spare, so probably get 2 good years out of that.
It costs about as much as a small car.
Yeah. I hear
That's the only problem.
Well, that is cool, my friend. It the trade that you're in is the business that you're in is not for the lighthearted in the workspace. It's difficult. Contracting in general, anything that you're doing where you're going to people's house and fixing stuff is difficult because you do so many of those different things. I mean, you have to render your service. You have to make sure people are happy about you. You have to make sure new people that you've never talked to before know about you. It's not an easy gig. For anybody in our audience that wants to buy something from you or has some business for you or would love to kind of refer you business, how do they get a hold of you?
Embree Painting LLC is all over Google, Facebook. You could email me. I don't know if I should give my email address out.
It's up to you.
Chad Embree 32 at gmail.com. That's the Embree Painting web email. But our Facebook page and our Google page, or Facebook especially, I keep that up pretty good. And Google, we're definitely on there too.
Sure.
If you're in Rome. And we do stay in Rome. You know, it's like a 30-mile radius around Rome. So if you're hearing this,
hopefully you're in that circle.
Hopefully you're in there. But yeah,
that's pretty neat, my friend.
You sound like
you're in a good place.
I am.
You know, you've that slow, lean growth is a good place to be.
That's good to hear.
It's exciting.
Well, yeah, thank you.
And for kind of the same way we close the podcast out for everyone, you know, I truly believe, you know, burn the ship. Have you ever heard that phrase, burn the ship, before?
I'm not sure exactly why you call it that.
So it comes from Hernan Cortez, the Spanish conquistador who landed in like what is modern day Mexico. Okay. And what he told the people that were on the ships with him, he had like a huge Spanish armada, right? And they landed all of their boats on the shore, and like the first thing that he made everybody do was disassemble the boats and then set them all on fire, right? And the reason was he didn't want the option of going back to enter anyone's mind. It's like either we figure it out here and we live, or we die, and that's just what it is, right? Yeah. And I believe that starting a business is like that. Yes, if you're really trying to be successful. Tell me what that moment's like. You know, sum that up as far as the emotions and the feelings that go through deciding that, hey, this is the chance that I'm willing to bet on myself.
Yeah, it makes me smile, just the question, and because it is such a, and I enjoy the, for lack of a better word, the thrill of a lot of things in life. But I guess part of the, you know, of me being able to do this is I enjoy the thrill of, you know, uncertainty, I guess, and I also like the challenge. But you know, I used to. There was a song going around that it was just too late to turn back now was the name of the song, and there were a few years where that was just the only song in my head.
Right.
Too late to turn back now. You know, we're burning the boats on the beach now. You know.
Oh yeah.
So you know, I guess I worked for a few years thinking that this might not be the thing, and then at one point it all just said, well, if we're going to do this, then you ain't ever going to do that.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. It's an exciting time, a scary time.
Oh, yeah.
You got to have somebody there with you, you know, that's going to help you, because one person can't do it you know, can't do very much. You got to have helpers. You got to allocate jobs. You got to trust people to do them, and not get worked up about how well they do them or whatever.
Oh yeah,
that's a hard one for a lot of people. And as far as the money goes, I've kept an accountant around since the very beginning, Wayne Jones.
Oh yeah, I know Wayne.
You know, I mean, he's great.
Yeah, Wayne's good.
He keeps me between the lines, and I think he started close to this. I mean, his business, his personal, right around the same time as I did, and so we've kind of seen each other grow together. That's an important person to have around when you're doing small business.
Yeah, it is, because you don't want the other side of that knocking on your door.
Exactly.
You know, the IRS and the tax people are not. They're not friendly conversations.
We don't want to even ever talk to them if we can help it.
I hear that. I'm on the same wavelength as you there, my friend. But I think where you are in your business is super cool. And you're talking to an audience of people that are probably in that exact same place. Like there's a guy out there with a pressure washing rig strapped to a trailer that he just went and spent $4,000 or $5,000 on, and he's got the truck to lug it around, and he's got some people that's willing to do business with him, or he's got a property management company that he can reach out to and get some work. And you know, a lot of people are scared to flip that light switch. You know what I mean? Because once it starts running, it's hard to slow it down. But it's like that emotion and that challenge and that desire to kind of cut your own path is really what small business is. You know what I mean? It's like I had a buddy of mine a couple weeks ago. And he was like, you can make all the money in the world. You can have all the power over people that you want. But he was like, my biggest flex is my family. He's like, I spend so much time, like my girls know that I'm going to be home at this time. My wife knows that I'm going to be home at this time. We get to go to Disney World. You know what I mean? We fly to Arizona to meet my grandmother, and I don't have to worry about what my business is doing while I'm going like that. Man, that freedom is something to relish. That's the real
one. When you get away from and you hear these people talking about it all the time. You either own a business or you own a job.
Yeah.
You've heard this motivational speech or whatever. And I did just own a job for a few years, a lot of years. And that's part of it. I think if you're going to really start from the bottom, you're just going to own a job, not really a business for some amount of time. But then eventually you'll find some help, and then maybe you'll have a business.
I agree. Well, this is cool, my friend. This has been a cool conversation. I appreciate you coming up here. I will edit this up, and I will get it out on the YouTube channel some point this week, and then I'll send it over to you. You can put it on your website, Facebook. If you want a clip out of it, I'll trim you a clip, and anything that you can use to use it as well. But I think where you are is cool, and hopefully we come back and we do this again in a year or two or a few more years, and we see kind of where your business is developing.
That'd be great.
It's a cool place to be. I envy your ability to kind of roll with the punches in your business. I think it's a cool thing.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. No problem, my friend.
Nobody's ever told me that.
Well, I do. I'll be the first one.
Some people know.
Yeah,
it's true.
Cool. Well, until next time, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.